You can say what you want to say to me right now. I know that the Packers lost, but it's not going to be as bad as what I have to say about the Packers today because they are just a terrible, weak, pathetic team. Nothing else. They are pathetic. They have taken on the visage of their coach, and it really shows on the field. Continuing making stupid mistakes, continuing making the same penalties, continuing just not being clutch. This team isn't clutch at any step of the imagination on any side of the ball. Sure, their defense played really well at times, and my God, if it weren't for a couple early mistakes, my God, the Packers could have won. My God, because of the way their defense was playing. And again, the Eagles are a great team for sure. But again, this game kind of shows that maybe the Eagles aren't the team that we thought they were because, come on. The Eagles should have won by a score of like 45-3. They probably shouldn't have even given up a touchdown. With the way their defense started out the game, and yes, I understand they lost to Kobe Dean, and he was totally wrecking the Packers, but come on. The Eagles should have won far and away from this game. 10-22 does not do this game justice. It was not close. And while, yes, in my Packer heart, I had fleeting possibilities that the Packers might win this game, but there's several times where the game were just ended because of bad plays and just terrible discipline. No discipline whatsoever. There's probably going to be a lot of new guys on the team next year. I mean, big injuries down the line. I mean, we're going to go into it as always, but let me know what you think down in below from both Eagles fans and Packers fans. Again, for those out there that always comment on my videos, yeah, you can let me have it, but it's not going to be as bad as what I have to say about the Packers today. Things need to be taken accountability for, and it all starts with the coach, Matt Lafleur. How many times do the Packers have to suffer a loss because of bad penalties? Again, the tackle by Keyshawn Nixon on Saquon Barkley was totally unnecessary. The penalty on TJ Slayton at the end of the game was completely unnecessary. Just take him down to the ground, tackle him, and you still might have a small chance to win. But no, 15-yard penalties on both plays. I mean, we start off right off the bat with the fumble by Keyshawn Nixon, even though there was a head-to-head penalty that was not called. So as a result, the Packers would have maintained the ball and it would not have been a fumble, but that's neither here nor there. You Eagles fans out there that may watch this will say that, oh, it was a fumble already, so it doesn't matter. It was just a good hit. It's just a good hit, yeah. Yeah, he got his bell rung and he was out for a little bit, yeah. Yeah, that was a penalty that should have been called. Jordan Love, today, again, 3 interceptions, just chucking it up there. I mean, I don't know if he's injured or not, because even if he wasn't injured, he didn't play well today. Probably had a quarterback rating below 40, which is just pathetic. I mean, I know the Eagles have a good defense, but come on. There were chances for the Packers to make plays, and admittedly, Love had some decent throws today to Wicks, to Reed, but again, too far in view between. Too many mistakes. That touchdown at the very beginning of the game really set the Packers up for a loss. I mean, sure, they tried to battle back at times. Sure, they tried, but it was never close. I mean, even the Eagles missing an extra point and making it 16-10 after the Packers scored, it still didn't matter. Still doesn't matter. Josh Jacobs again is like the only player that capable of making plays on this team. Willie Keith again continues to show why he's doesn't belong on the starting lineup, because yes, he can make a good play here and there, but I'm not going to blame him completely for the out of bounds catch, but you got to know where you are in the field. You got to try and maneuver your body so you can get both feet in bounds. You got to find a way to do it. I mean, you could just tell by the way after he caught the ball that it was going to be out of bounds. You could tell by the way his feet were in the air that he was going to come out of bounds. Packers lost Josh Myers at the end of the game. I mean, he wasn't going to come back to Green Bay anyway, but now he probably had a huge injury, or like an injury at the end of the game. Total friendly fire. He's gone for the year, or he won't be with the Packers next year probably. Devontae Wyatt went down with a lower leg injury early in the game. I think he may have 1 year left, but man, if it depending on how severe the injury is, well, we might have seen the best of Devontae Wyatt on this team. Romeo Dobbs suffered probably a second concussion. I mean, he was literally helped off the field. Just, I mean, the concussions are unavoidable, but again, I think that's like his third concussion in like the last 2 years or so. Again, not great. These guys in the Packers, they're made of paper. I mean, yes, injuries are bad luck sometimes, but it seems like no matter who the Packers pick, they have terrible injury luck. They aren't consistent. Um, the few defensive players that played really well, like Rashawn Gary had only 2 sacks against Lane Johnson given up all year, which is a meaningless stat in the end because the Packers lost both games that he played in, but it's something cool. Kenny Clark again showing why he is as useless as boobs on a bowl. Showing he's just another high paid player that is just not adapted to the new scheme, and shows that he should be expendable, but they still owe him a lot of money. Keyshawn Nixon again showed that he has his moments, but that penalty against Saquon Barkley is totally inexcusable. That's a reflection on Matt Lafleur. Total lack of discipline. During the days of Lombardi, that would not happen. If you did that during Lombardi's reign, you would be probably cut the next day, or he'd just trade you. He would trade you because Lombardi had was known for trading guys that play badly or just made mistakes. Just trade him. Just get rid of him. He's not worth it. TJ Slayton, terrible penalty at the end. Again, the game was still pretty much done, but still, any small chance the Packers had to make it interesting at the end, again, done. Josh Jacobs didn't do much today, really. He got shaken up at the end of the game. One of the only really good offensive players you can look forward to next year. Offensive line is battered. Elton Jenkins went out with an injury. Hopefully his injury isn't too severe. It sounds like it was a stinger, so hopefully he should probably be just fine for next year. Still have some good offensive linemen going forward. Jordan Morgan has been a total failure. Yes, he's been injured, but I mean, for a guy drafted as high as he was, just not on the field again. Can't depend on him. Lucas Van Ness, yes, looked decent at times today, but again, play like Jane, look like Tarzan. He just doesn't play hard. Doesn't have the ability, it seems, and is just woefully inadequate for where he was drafted. So many things that the Packers need to do next year. It would be preferable if they drafted a first or a wide receiver in the first round. I know in years past I've said that they will never do it, but they really do. It just shows. It has shown this year that the Packers have gotten what they got out of the second, third, fourth round wide receivers. They can give you good time. They can make good plays from time to time, but they can't change your offense. If you want a game-changing wide receiver, you need to get them in the first round. And considering where the Packers are going to be drafting next year, they will probably not be in the ability to get that unless they trade up. Brian Gutekunst has, again, the last couple of years, his drafting class has not been good. A couple of diamonds in the rough here and there, but not enough to really warrant him staying around. I mean, frankly, I think that it won't happen, but Packers should consider finding someone else for the GM role. It just got to be honest. Matt LaFleur will probably not be fired, but I'm going to put a caveat in it that this year and for the last couple of years has shown his inability to discipline his team, his inability to make changes, his inability to inspire his team to do better. He just has nothing in it. He has no killer instinct. I mean, say what you want about Dan Campbell. I mean, his players do commit a lot of penalties from playing so hard, but come on. You'd rather have someone playing hard or getting a penalty because they play too hard over someone who's just like too timid to do anything. or too stupid to do anything. Like, seriously, some of the guys on the Packers team are just dumb as a box of rocks. Swear to God, they don't belong on the field. They make too many errors. And it's not just the inability to make plays, it's just the lack of brain cells. Specifically, the two plays I referenced before. They had no time, like I said. I made it look close on the game, and the fact that it was 10-0 at halftime was a miracle because it should have been like 24-0. It was that bad. And yes, the Packers finally scored a touchdown at the end because Josh Jacobs just was not going to be denied. Sure, he came up short, but eventually they scored anyway. And even at that time, it was close. It was 10-16. It's like, man, maybe just maybe. And then you have Keyshawn Nixon again making the dumb play. I mean, they still ended up giving up only a field goal, but that field goal had really ended or broke their spirit, because then the Packers came back, were making strides, were making plays, but then again the Malik Heath coming out of bounds again, not completely on him, but there's just something about being a number one wide receiver where Jamar Chase would find a way to stay in bounds. A player like Brandon Ayuk, yes, he was injured this year, would probably find a way to stay in bounds. CeeDee Lamb would find a way to stay in bounds. A.J. Brown would find a way to stay in bounds on that play, but not Malik Heath. It just goes to show that while he does have some athletic ability, just not enough brains to get there. The only reason that Malik Heath was out there was because Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs were injured. Jaden Reed got choking up again. And again, Packers are just dropping like flies. I don't want to rant too much because this game has shown a lot that the Packers just aren't good enough. Maybe if they ace the draft next year, which they probably won't, they'll probably reach for a guy that they shouldn't. They will not take a guy that's the best of the ability. Again, if you really want to thrive in the NFL, you got to take the best available at the best spot. It's one thing to draft for need, but those players that are really good, that are all-stars, that are future all-pros, they find a way to adjust. They find a way to work in any system, and they find ways to make plays. It doesn't matter if the Packers keep drafting system-specific players, but it doesn't matter if when it comes to the big time, they come up and do nothing, or they make stupid penalties and stupid mistakes. It doesn't matter how scheme efficient you are, how your players fit the scheme. Oh my God, you're the perfect linebacker for a system. You're the perfect corner for a system. Nickel corner. Oh my God, you're the best. It doesn't matter if when it comes down to the big lights and you're missing tackles, you're getting owned. You're getting owned by guys like Dallas Goedert. Yes, Dallas Goedert is a great tight end, but he just absolutely destroyed today on that touchdown run. The Packers have shown they are woefully inadequate for the task at hand, and there's not enough there's not enough changes that can be made in one offseason. I still think Packers probably come back next year and make the playoffs, but because the Bears are the Bears, and the Vikings will probably go downhill always a little bit because Sam Darnold will have his one playoff caliber year this year, and then he will get a big contract, and then he will go back down. But the Lions are going to rule the North for quite a while. As long as they keep that team together, Packers aren't beating them. Packers probably aren't even beating the Vikings where they're at right now. Maybe might not even beat the Bears. It might be a long stretch for the Packers where they just are adequate. Like the Steelers, mediocrity has set in for the Packers. Mediocrity is the name of the game. It's good enough to make the playoff. It's good enough to just barely get in. It's good enough to beat enough bad teams but lose to the good teams. It's just, I have no more words. I have no more word for the Packers. They just have nothing left. Their coach needs to go, but he won't because he's just won too many games. But what's the point of winning games if your teams look like a bunch of fragile children out there, woefully inadequate for the task? I know I don't want to come off as like really negative because I've never played tackle football, but just watching what I've seen for the last couple of years with the Packers, with Matt Lafleur at the helm and Jordan Love now as starting quarterback, you realize that Jordan Love is probably never going to be even anywhere close to Rodgers or Favre. He may be middling, he may have his moments, but again, the Packers are looking like, yeah, they may have hit on a quarterback last year, but now it's like, no, they haven't. He had his one good year, he cashed in. Maybe it comes to turn out that he's injured. But again, if you're so injured that you're literally affecting your team's performance, why not give Malik Willis a chance? He's not great, but come on, he's made some good plays this year. If nothing else, just to try something else and see if something else can happen. No use throwing a quarterback out there that's so injured that his accuracy has dwindled so far where it should be that it's not even worth having him out there. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. We're morning Packers fans. It'll be a long off season, but we still stay fans, unlike the Vikings fans who, whenever they lose, they rage and pit or curse their team out. I'm not going to curse the Packers out. Just calling into question a lot of the decisions the organization has made at hiring and coaching by Matt Lafleur. It just needs to be questioned. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, have a great day, and as always, God bless.